All right, Democrat Kyrsten Sinema claiming a big upset victory in Arizona's Senate race overnight, officially beating the Republican Martha McSally after a very tense week-long delay.
And in Florida, a statewide recount in full swing, but officials are scrambling to meet Thursday's deadline. So are we going through this whole ordeal because Democrats are hoping for the upset wins? Here in Ottawa is Republican strategist Ned Ryan. Ned, thank you for your time this morning. Look, Sinema, first female senator in Arizona history and also the first Democrat to hold a seat since 1976. What does that tell you?
It's pretty staggering to me, Jillian, that someone who said Arizona is the meth lab of democracy, that said it's all right for Americans to fight with the Taliban against our military would be elected. You know, you do you, Arizona. But I got to tell you, I think on a more serious note, Sinema was able to define herself as being a more moderate candidate. And it's something we teach in American Majority. If you're able to define yourself before your opponent defines you, you better your chances of winning. I got to tell you, though, it's pretty staggering that Doug Ducey and Sinema, it looks like it's anywhere from 250,000 to 400,000 split tickets between the two of them. And how do you vote for a fairly conservative Republican governor and then vote for somebody like Kyrsten Sinema? So, boy, it's kind of a sad state of affairs in Arizona. They're going to send somebody that, you know, despite her trying to portray herself as somebody else, she's pretty far left of Arizona. Yeah,
well, but that wasn't the story that we were hearing during the campaign. You had people saying that they both seemed like they were very similar candidates, and it was, you know, you kind of pick one.
Well, you know, the thing is, Rob, is she was able to get away with some of her votes in the House leadership. Democrats were able to let her get away with some votes. She was able to portray herself as a blue dog Democrat in the House. And it also goes back to the media was probably not as hard on her as they could have been, and really opening, you know, pulling back the curtain and letting the voters of Arizona know who she really was back in the day in regards to her protesting the war. You know, she was a member of the Green Party, far left. It's pretty sad. The media, I don't think, did its job in actually portraying her as she should have been portrayed during the election. Hey,
Ned, just to touch on Florida real quick, what do you make of what's happening there again?
Complete and utter shame. The amazing thing to me, Jillian, is I want to go back to, can we not have just where you can only vote on Election Day, this whole mess of mail-in ballots, absentee ballots? Let's make Election Day a national holiday. You got to show up. The only people exempt from that are the military. But down in Florida, you know, Rick Scott's up by about 12,500 votes, something like that. Most recounts only change the vote total by a few hundred, so I feel fairly confident that he'll pull out the win. The thing that concerns me is it really looks like Democrats are trying to figure out in 2018 how far can they push the envelope in regards to voting irregularities before law enforcement shows up in preparation for 2020. So, you know, there's a lot of things that need to change down in Florida between now and 2020.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the final weeks here of full Republican control. I read an article the other day that talked about how there's these two bills for border security. One has $5 billion for the wall. One has $1.6 billion. Is the wall toast in your eyes? What do you think?
You know, I think just talking to some members even yesterday in the House, I think they're going to take the McCarthy bill, is going to pass through committee fairly quickly, get to the House for a floor vote. You know, the McCarthy bill has $23+ billion for border security, over $16.5 billion for a border wall, physical barriers. So I think you'll get a vote on the House floor. I got to tell you, Rob, I don't see the political will in the Senate to pass a bill that would be similar to that. So I think there will be a vote in the House on that issue. I don't see it passing the Senate. And it's a shame. I think immigration is a winning issue. It's why Trump, it's one of the reasons Trump got elected. And you start to look at these numbers. Numbers USA did a really interesting poll in which 62% of people in red, blue, and purple states said they want to see a reduction in legal immigration by 25%. Republicans need to lean into two issues going into the future: immigration and health care, and they better address and be vocal about how they address pre-existing conditions moving forward.
All right, Ned Ryan, thank you so much for your time this morning. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
All right.